As we go into our last section, section 6, we're going to be dividing polynomials. So the statement for example 1 is this, and I put the parentheses in to indicate that both of these need to be divided by that. And a way to write it would be 6m squared plus 2m all over 2m is equivalent to what we have there. But what does that mean? And the way to do it is take each of these terms and put it over your common denominator. That is, think of this as separate with the 2m under each term. That is what is described in your textbook, and that's the way they want you to do it. Now you simplify. Again, 2 goes into there once, 3 times, and you're left here with an m. 3m. Now notice here you have a 2m divided by 2m. That's going to cancel out, and you're left with a 1. Now don't make the error of saying, oh, that cancels out. It's nothing. It's a 1. If you leave that 1 out, that is incorrect. 1 is an important number. In fact, you could write almost a book about 1. Now, as we do example 2, it looks like this. But what strategy would you do? And as I've told students in many classes, take your common denominator and put it under each term. And now you're going to simplify these 3 terms. So this one is going to be 3x to the 3rd. Notice your sign here. This is a negative 4. Notice the x's all cancel out. And over here, this is a little tricky. The 3's cancel out, and one of the x's cancel out. So you're left with a 1 in the numerator, important, and an x in the denominator. Now, in many cases, students haven't seen this before. So they sort of panic. But again, the technique is you have a trinomial over a monomial. Put the monomial under each term. Simplify. And if you have a remainder like or something in the bottom that doesn't cancel out, be sure to put it as a fraction. Often students would say, oh, I'll put it up there. Well, then that's wrong. Again, something to remember, and through your practice, that's how you master these skills. Okay, let me just check that I have that correct here. Yep. Okay. Again, what technique? Well, you're going to put each of these over the common denominator. And you can separate it. So now 4 goes into 8, 2, xy minus 4. Now plus, here we're going to have, in my numerator, the 2x will cancel. I'm left with 2y. Again, most students are not used to that. And it may be the difference between getting one right or one wrong. And by practicing and sort of mastering the skill, because it's not that difficult, and you're just canceling out. But again, be alert to that. Okay, now we're going to start this off real easy. we're going to use what is called long division, which is, this is what's on the outside, x plus 3, divided into what we have here. Now I will be showing you a technique here, and hopefully that's what will carry you through and get the right answers. Now the way long division works is we take this item, this term, and see how many times will it go into that. And a shortcut I've shown students is x to the second divided by this x is what? And it's x. So now we go, x times x is x squared. Then we take the next term. 3 times x is 3x. Now, what did we do in elementary school and high school when we did this? Well, we would put a line here, and then what we would do is subtract. Well, in algebra, what we do is we change the signs and add. So this becomes a negative, and this becomes a negative. So notice what happens. This cancels out. And here we get 4x. We bring down our 12. And then we do the same thing again. 4x divided by x is 4. Now, x times 4 is 4x. 3 times 4 is 12. And what do? We change our signs and add. And all of this cancels out, and that's our answer. Now, if we multiply this by this, we get this. That's what we did in an earlier lesson. Now, what I'm going to do is, it was written out as the other, and then I put it in the long division form. So to figure out our first term, it's 6x squared divided by 3x. Well, that's going to be 2x up here. Now, you could do this mentally, but if you need to do it, do it. So this times this gives you that first term. Now, a negative 1 times 2x is a negative 2x. We put our line. What do? Well, we're going to change signs and add. So again, this cancels out, and this becomes 12x minus 5. And what do we put up there? Well, it's 12x, 3x, it's going to be a 4. So 3x times 4 is 12x. 1 times 4, negative 1 times 4 is a negative 4. Put our line, and what do? We change signs. This becomes a negative, this becomes a positive. And now we add them up. Well, this cancels out. We're left with a negative 1 as our remainder. Now, how do we write that remainder? Well, we could go a negative 1 over 3x minus 1, or we could have written it as a negative by the division bar and 1 over 3x minus 1. So theoretically, both are correct, and you have to get it right. As we look at this next one, it's showing you a kind of thing you have to be cautious of. So here we see a trinomial divided by a binomial. That would indicate long division. But notice it doesn't seem to be in any order at the top. Well, this part stays the same. But now I'm going to put that in my first place, since this is my highest degree. Then I go to my next degree. And then the x to the first, there isn't one. So when you do long division, if a place is missing, like x to the first, you put a 0x to the first as a placeholder, so that when you do it, you know, you have a place to show your work in like term columns, so to speak. And then the 7. So again, our technique would be 8x to the third divided by 2x gives us 4x squared. We're just simplifying that. Now, this times this will always give you this, 8x cubed. And then this times this gives you a plus 12x squared. Put our line, change our signs. These cancel out, and here we're left with a negative 8x squared. Bring down your next term. Doesn't have any value, it's just a placeholder. So a negative 8x squared divided by 2x will be a negative 4x. Now this times this gives you a negative 8x squared. This times this gives you a negative 12x. Notice you have a place to put it. Change signs. This cancels out. This is 12x plus 7. Again, 12x divided by 2x is a plus 6. Now, 2x times 6 is 12x. This times that is a positive 18. Change our signs. And this ends up being a negative 11. So our answer is this, negative 11 over 2x plus 3. Now keep in mind, if you'd like to see it slowly or again, just rewind the tape. And that way you can see it. Did I get it all in? Yep. Okay, they do get a little more challenging as we go. I've set it up a little bit here. This is example 7. And we are still on page 256. Now again, this is in your textbook too. So here's what we're going to divide into this. I didn't have to have any placeholders. I'm going to divide, this goes into this 2x squared times. So x squared times this gives me this. And I'm going to change signs here. So these will cancel out. I just bring that down. I had to change this sign, and that's where I get a plus x squared. And I just brought the other ones down. Now, x squared goes into x cubed, a negative x cubed, a negative x times. So this times this gives you that. Nothing happens there, but a positive 1 times that gives me a negative x. I change my signs. These cancel out. This comes down. This ends up being a positive 2x, and I bring down the 1. So, x squared divided by x squared is 1. So this times this is that. I change the signs. These are going to cancel out. A positive 1 times a positive 1 is a positive 1. And what I'm left with then, when I change the signs, this is a 2x minus a negative 1. A negative 1 gives me a negative 2. So my final answer is 2x minus 2 over x squared plus 1. Wow. And again, it took me a little time to do this. I wanted to be sure I got it right. I'm not just copying it from the book, I'm working it, and hopefully it'll be instructive for you. Now, for this last one, we're going to show you a little technique that we use. Again, this is our divisor out here. And we need to put in some space holders. Because we're missing some. And again, this will go x squared, x cubed, change signs. This becomes, cancels out. This will then go 2x times. Change signs. This cancels out, and I'm left with 4x minus 8. This goes into there 4 times. Change signs, everything cancels out. All right, in the next course, you're going to actually be working with this. This is called the difference of perfect cubes. And this is the factorization. And we've proved it by long division. Okay, well this wraps us up. I'm off to our math lab now, math zone. And good luck on your final and last test.